Hey everyone, so some of you may or may not know I haul containers. So in order to do my job efficiently, I rely on some of these tools. I have a large collection of tools, but I'll get into some of the ones that I commonly use at least every day, if not multiple times a day. And I'll start with my TWIC card. I need that in order to get into the port. I usually go in the port in the morning or sometimes in the afternoon. GPS. I have 2 GPS. I don't solely rely on neither one because you should be reading signs, but I do have 2 GPS as just in case. WD-40, multiple use, but for my case, I use it for the containers, the door latches sometimes. As you know, they come off the boat, so they sit in the rain, snow, the weather is cold, it's hot. They rust, metal on metal, so I use WD-40 to loosen up the door handles. Adhesive spray, I use this for when I'm hauling hazmat for the placards. Sometimes the stickers don't stick well onto the container, so I use this as a secondary glue. Let's see, Grumman's, rubber O-rings, whatever you want to call them. These are rubber seals that I use to put inside the glad hands. Sometimes they wear and they leak out air, so they just good to have. Let's see, gear ties can be used for multiple things, but I use these particularly for my doors. Sometimes the strings on the door, when I'm opening the doors, they don't latch, so I use the gear ties just to keep the doors in place from swinging open or closed. I use this as a tire thumper. I don't solely rely on this, but I use this to just thump the tires, just to check, to hear the sound, see if the tires are good. I visually inspect and all that other good stuff. Wire cutters, I use these primarily for cutting zip ties. Zip ties, I use these because I want to keep the pins in place on the chassis. So I would tie the zip tie around the pin just to keep it in lock position, and then I use the zip tie to cut it off when I get to the port. Let's see, right? Hammer, I use a hammer, multiple use, but for me, I use it for the doors. Sometimes the door don't always push in, so I'll just, give it a little bang, that way it can push in more. Pole, I got this from Home Depot. As you can see, it's a hole in there. The latches on the doors, I'll stick the latch in there, and then I'll use it to pry the door open. Sometimes it could be a little difficult even with using WD-40. Let's see, gloves for the safety police. I do use gloves. I have several pairs of gloves, but these are my go-to. Let's see what else. Okay, so I also have my tire pressure. I check my tire pressure. Good to have. Also, it's just good to have, especially with the weather fluctuate. The tires, it changes up, so it's good to have that. Tread depth, I have my checker for that. Checking the tread depth, pulling containers from the port. The treads on the chassis sometimes are horrible, so you want to just check that. If you don't visually feel as though they're good, I use this as a secondary to just check them. Of course, if it's in the red, then that's an issue right there. Flashlight, must have. Use this for multi-purposes. Just good to have. Let's see what else. Scraper, sometimes taking off the placards when I'm hauling hazmat. When I get unloaded, I have to take the placard off, so now I gotta scrape it. I have other things to use as well, but I'm not gonna get into all that. But these are just some of the basics. Let's see, bolt cutters. When you go to a receiver, they don't always have them, or they'll tell you to go open your door. No one is always going to come out and help you. Ladies, especially as a woman truck driver, do not solely rely on someone being there to help you. You have to do what you got to do to get the job done. And I've learned that some cases I don't have to do much. There's other cases I have no help. I don't expect the help, but I do what I got to do. So that's that. With the weather, the winter weather, with the ice and all that, I also have cleats. Ice cleats, I put these on my boots, just be able to protect me from sliding. And I think, of course, a safety vest. I mean, like I said, I have a lot of different other things that I use, but these are like my go-to. I keep them here right on hand to just grab them where they're easy accessible. And then maybe I'll get into like the other things that I keep in my storage bin, like fluids and things like that. I try to have all that backup stuff just in case. It's just good to have. So as a female trucker, you know, you got to get in here. You got to get into the game. You got to do what you got to do, because again, like I said, you cannot solely rely on someone to help you. You want to be a trucker, you got to get in there and you got to do what you got to do. All right? See y'all later. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.